everybody. Welcome to the Orange Blossom Social. Here I am. Welcome to the Orange Blossom Social, and I am your humble correspondent, Bobby Randall. Excited today, everybody. We have a special guest this morning. Is going to be with us a little later. George Dickinson is here, and he is the leader and the head honcho of the band Hotel California, who's doing a 3-day stint here at the Orange Blossom Opry. We're certainly excited about that. We'll get him out here in a little bit and chat with him. But right now, I want to tell you it's 10 o'clock in Ocala, Florida. It's a little chilly out here, but not bad. It could be worse. It looks like we're headed for better days. Are we riding to? We're not riding tomorrow. We are riding tomorrow, Mike. Right? We are.
Yes, sir.
All right, my road captain out there. If you're a Harley rider, tomorrow we ride 10 o'clock. Anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. We had an awesome weekend, and Fast Eddie is here. Today's Tuesday, which is so weird because we're still working. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't even remember who was here. Little Texas was here this weekend. That's who was here. And they, of course, did an awesome job, had many hits back in the 90s. And I think they were one of the bands that at some point all of us started competing against one another on who had the biggest hair and who could get the hair out the farthest. And those boys were a country hair band. For sure they were, because, man, those guys all have big hair. But they did a good job. They were here. And we are, for those of you keeping track, we're in week number 10 of our contest. And it's going to be exciting. It's going to be tough to figure that out. It's a lot of young kids ended up being in there, and they're awesome. There's a couple of those. I remember that one boy, Ty Love, I think his name is. He's going to be pretty hard to beat. Of course, Chloe, going to be tough to beat.
Yeah.
And, of course, Eddie, for those of you who were here last Thursday, was competed in the contest and was, of course, booed off the stage.
Booed.
So, yeah, but it was still all right. I mean,
But it was still a rocking performance.
you give it was a rocking performance, Eddie. I got to tell you that you did an incredible job. Some of the shows that are coming to the Orange Blossom Opry, I'll talk about that for just a little bit. If you're, let's see, what's going on this weekend? The Malpass Brothers, on Mondays and Tuesdays, I advance dates, which means I call all the people. I spend my whole day Monday and half the days Tuesday on the phone talking to the people who are coming on the weekend. What time are you going to get here? How many people are with you? Guitars, amps, all kinds of stuff that you have to go through. And I couldn't get a hold of the Malpass Brothers. So this guy, I left a message, and I said, hey, this is Bobby Randall from the Orange Blossom Opry, and I see that the Malpass Brothers are on the schedule for coming this Friday, and I hadn't talked to them yet, so they must have been busy or something. Anyway, so I left a message and said, I don't know if that's right, because last time I knew we had a restraining order against you fellas. And sure enough, they called back. So I finally got a hold of them. But they'll be here this weekend, next weekend they'll be here. This weekend is the Fabulous Thunderbirds. And let's see, there's a Bee Gees show coming. Eddie, you're a fan of the Bee Gees, right?
Yeah. I'm like you. I like the early Bee Gees, of course, and then disco took over. But
well, yeah, disco ruined the music business.
Yeah.
Well, that was just my opinion. But the early Bee Gees stuff, I loved all that stuff.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't know anything about these guys, but they must be good, because I think both shows are sold out.
Yeah. We're bringing out the mirror balls for that one.
Oh, you're going to?
Whole bunch of them.
All right. Well, I got a couple of other shows I need to talk to you about, and we'll get a hold of our special guest and get him out here. So I just stopped babbling. Williams and Ree, the comedy team of Williams and Ree, had to reschedule. Their flights got all messed up in Nashville. They called me and said, our flight got moved to 9 o'clock at night. We'll be there. And then they called and said, we'll be there at midnight. And then they called and said, we won't be there. So I don't know what happened. But that's going to be on the 27th. And as I understand from these guys, it's sad. I've known them for many, many, many years, probably up to 40 years I've known those guys. And they're going to retire. Terry said that his health's getting the best of him, and he's going to call it a day. 56 years they've been out there playing the casinos and beating the road. And, I suppose after a while you've had enough. So the cool thing, I'm going to play with them as well. So
Great.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're very politically incorrect. For those of you who are offended by political jokes or any kind of jokes you probably don't want, that's probably not the show for you. But if you like that sort of thing and they're really funny, Those are the, come on and check out Williams and Rhea on the 27th. Our Brooks and Dunn show is pretty much sold out. That's going to be on the 17th. Kenny Evans will be here. If you, I don't know, there might be a few tickets left for that, but that's an awesome show if you're a Brooks and Dunn fan, because that's absolutely wonderful. And let's see what else is going on. Macy Mack, the little, I don't know what she is. She's a ball of fire, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's from Ocala, Florida, or somewhere right in there. And she's got a little show she's doing on the 24th. There are tickets still available for that show. She's kind of a local favorite. That's what I was trying to say. She is a local favorite. She's also very good. She'll be here, and then we have our gospel show on the 29th, and then Let's Hang On, who's the tribute to Frankie Valli. Those guys always do well, and that's going to finish out our month of March. So that's what's going on here. Any questions in the audience this morning? Good morning, audience. Glad to have you all here. And a special morning to you. Mike's our microphone guy out there if he has a question. Yeah,
Mike's got the mic.
Mike's got the mic. Mike's the man with the mic. And what about that beautiful green powder that's floating around on all the cars in Florida? Is that not absolutely beautiful?
It's also floating in my nose.
Yeah. There is nobody. It's like I'm taking more pills than any drug addict. I take Mucinex, the steroid pack, shots, steroids, 2-3 different nose sprays up my nose.
I have a new thing. I bought a diffuser. It's kind of like evaporating mist that puts in the air, and I put this special Breathe Ease scent in it, and it seems to help my nose. We'll find out if it works long term.
It's horrible.
One more thing we got to plug coming up that they've already on sale. They're calling it the Spring Fling.
Yeah.
And it's all of our summer series kind of groups. The Loving Spoonful.
Yep.
Seals and Crofts 2, which are relatives to the original Seals and Crofts.
Yeah,
That's
they're
gonna be good.
granddads.
George Trillinger, of course. We've got Carole King tribute coming. We've got a Van Morrison tribute coming. We've got Simon and Garfunkel tribute coming. Meatloaf. Boy, there's going to be some smoke in that show.
Is that, that's a tribute, right?
Tribute, yeah, Meatloaf tribute, and of course, Carl Bennett with the John Denver tribute.
Wow.
Always a big one.
Great
stuff happening.
Lots of tribute shows coming. All right, I'm going to have to turn my boys around. We're a country band.
You're going to pick it up. You're going to pick it up.
Hey, they don't scare me. Speaking of tribute bands, ladies and gentlemen, we have probably one of the best tribute bands in the country. They come here all the time. They've been coming here at least as long as I've been here, and I'm starting in my 5th year here. And they're the only band, tribute band or not tribute band, the only act that that sell out the Orange Blossom Opry 3 nights in a row, and of all things on a Monday and Tuesday, which is kind of unheard of. They pack this place every time they come here, and I'm just thankful that they keep coming back. They're awesome. They're awesome guys. And we happen to have the chief cook and bottle washer with us. George, come on out here and have a seat with me. George Dickinson is here, and he's somewhere. There he is. Big hand for George. And George is a true musician because the first thing he said to me while we were drinking coffee back there is, "It's early."
It's pretty early. It truly is.
Good morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome, man. Welcome to the show. We're glad you're here. And this is George. And, man, we're just going to talk a little Hotel California. We'll take some questions. Apostle Paul back there, our producer. Captain Kurt up there in the hills, and Fast Eddie over here. We'll talk a little bit for you, and we'll get to your album because we'll surprise him with it as well. I still don't know what it is. I haven't looked. But anyway, Hotel California. Amazing. Tell me a little bit about your idea on starting this, where it came from, and obviously you were an Eagles fan.
Well, obviously, Roger just walked in. Hey, Roger, how you doing?
Happy birthday again on second day.
Yesterday was Roger's birthday.
Sure was, yeah.
I couldn't ask him how old he was.
Oh, we know. He's 78.
78. That's amazing.
Looks great, doesn't he?
Yeah, it looks good.
He's moving around without his walker. Really good.
Have you got your check already? Because I haven't got paid this week, so maybe we better back off on 78.
I already took it to the bank.
Oh, all right. Anyway, tell me about how this concept came together. And
it started out just a bunch of guys who loved music, loved the Eagles, and wanted to play. And they were all as a Bay Area. I lived in the San Francisco Bay Area for years and years, and that's where the band started. And one by one, they all moved on, retired.
Yeah.
As do the best of us eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was it. It's pretty much a part-time. They were all pros, like professional software people and tech people. And one by one, they just didn't want to do it anymore. But, I've always been a working musician.
Yeah.
Which means you get up and go to work every day. You do
Yeah.
many gigs as you can.
Yeah. So it's really, how long you been doing this? Because it's been...
I think it was on the Oregon Trail.
You came across with the Mormons.
It was tough. I mean, rickets and scurvy, all kind of stuff.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
really tough. So there's a lesson to all y'all. Don't start a band on the Oregon Trail. It's really hard.
Oh, it's hard to keep the card. It's well, you guys have been banging it out for a long time, and you think it's. Aside from the fact that you're awesome, but is it? It's the music, don't you think?
It's an amazing catalog of music. It spans genres. If you think about what they've done, so many different people have covered their songs, but it's a catalog. There's only a few catalogs that rival that catalog. They've had hits ever since I think their first hit was in '72.
Yeah, amazing.
And they are one of the top 10 grossing acts ever in the history of music.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing. It really is.
And they're still out there clunking around, they're kind of changing faces changing that band, as all bands have the tendency to do.
But if you've got a catalog that's that good, it's the soundtrack to our life.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of like your catalog,
Yeah.
Bobby Randall.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Well, speaking about music, let's talk for a minute here. Fast Eddie shows up every week with an album. I never know what the album is until I get out here, and I hope to have some kind of trivia, some kind of brilliant, be a plethora of brilliance on the subject. So today, Fast Eddie, everybody, who do you have today, buddy?
Today, this is my all-time favorite show here at the Opry.
That's a lie.
And of course, Miss Crystal Gale.
Oh,
The first show that I did hear 9 years ago, Crystal Gale, I had asked her, because I'm a 70s rocker. I grew up really didn't listen to country music till the 80s, and I became just loved my rock and roll in the 70s. And there was a magic about Crystal Gale. I had a lot of friends, a lot of really powerful friends who were just diehard Crystal Gale fans and never listened to country music. Never. They would never have listened to country music. But yet she crossed over into pop music with her hits. She was really popular among top 40 people that never listened to country
Now,
music.
did they, when you were in prison, did they pipe country music in there, or was it
that
strictly rock?
That was all Beatles.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just a Beatles thing.
They probably crossed over looking at that album cover.
Yeah, that's probably what did it.
Beautiful, beautiful lady. And she's still beautiful when she comes in.
Well, that was one of my, Crystal Gale was one of my first big tours. I worked for this guy whose name is Don King, not the boxer, but Don King, another guy who was on CBS Records. And that's the guy that helped me move to Nashville. I was his band leader. That band, Don King Band, he lost his record deal, and that band went on, because I put that band together, went on and was Sawyer Brown. There was a story about that, but one of the first tours we went on was Crystal Gale. And I went out with Crystal Gale, and it was Crystal Gale and Eddie Rabbitt. And I think we played all up and down the coast. I remember it was one of my first big tours, but I remember just sitting there. Chris Lusinger was her guitar player, a friend of mine, and he was sitting on that stool, and it was just all this thing we're playing, 20,000 people, and I'm going, holy mackerel. It was awesome. Yeah. But she's been here to the Opry a couple times and does quite well.
Actually, if you look on the wall back there, some of my favorites have been here.
Yeah, just about it.
The only picture that's missing is George Jones. I guess that ship sailed.
Yeah, I think it sailed. Roger, was Jones ever here? I don't think you guys ever had George Jones. He may have been prior to Roger owning. Yeah. So so let's talk about the Orange Blossom Opry for a minute. You've been coming here for a long time. And I know you notice a lot of the changes that are going on. In the last 2 years, really, I mean, this place has just sprouted some legs and really turned some corners.
It's amazing. It's grown. Its popularity has grown. The quality of what you guys are doing here is it's amazing, and the response from all our friends and fans that live down here, and we've got some of the guys in our band are now Florida guys.
Yeah.
So, I say friends and family.
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
that's what. But the Orange Blossom Opry and some of the changes that y'all have done out here, it's a warm, inviting place to be.
Yeah,
and that's
fun.
why people want to come here. You can feel it when you walk in the door.
Yeah, well, we hope that that's what we want. I, like you, have played some places that they're not the most pleasant places to play. We've played some places, all of us, where we've, backed our way out, fought our way out, in whatever.
Sawdust on the
Sawdust,
floor,
yeah.
bucket of blood,
Chicken wire.
Yeah,
all
that's
those,
right.
all those places. There's a Martin Mull song that says, "I played some holes, baby, but this
Yeah.
one takes the cake."
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I think we try to do here at the Orange Blossom Opry is make people feel like home backstage. It's kind of everybody kind of hangs out, eat a lot of food, laugh, have jokes, tell stories, look at guitars, and just tell stories. And that's what we try to create here. And then the audiences have been awesome. I was telling the folks, I believe, to my knowledge, Hotel California is the only act that has been here that plays 3 nights in a row and sells out. Probably could have played the whole damn week if you wanted to. I don't know. But, I mean, you guys...
If we did that, we couldn't play golf.
Hey, but you haven't noticed this. I'm in the golf rehab program now.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I checked in. I'm now, when I'm in the 12-step program.
Is that on the first hole?
It's on the first hole. And I don't golf today. That's what they teach you to say, knowing a man who's been to rehab.
Yeah.
I don't golf today. As a matter of fact, 4 years ago this month, I was in rehab.
My buddy used to say golf is just an exercise in public humiliation.
Isn't it the truth?
It really is.
It's the truth. George and I got to play last time he was in town. We had a good time.
I think
bass player.
Dougie whooped us all.
Yeah, Dougie was pretty good. Mickey was out there playing with us. He was pretty good. And Scotty plays pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
He's great.
Yeah, so we got out there and whacked around a little bit. But it's so much easier now just to say, I don't golf. Tell me, so you're going on a cruise after this?
We are. It's a rock star cruise. It's
And
going to be fun.
Who will all be on the cruise?
Well, if I'd have known you was going to ask me that, I'd have wrote that down. But
Just lie. They won't know the difference. You can tell them the Beatles will be on there. They won't know.
just like my golf score.
Just lie like your golf score.
Just like Micah just said, yours too. Now this year's cruise, we got Farner,
Yeah.
we got Gino Vanelli,
Wow.
we got who else is on this? Firefall, Orleans, just all the bands from our misspent youth.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's 25, 30 different groups on this cruise, and it's amazing. It
So
really
they
is.
all play at different times. in
Different times. They
areas all
set up.
around?
They set up 3 or 4 stages around the boat,
Yeah.
and they use the theater on the boat, and they just space them out. There's a show every hour.
Oh, no kidding.
It's
So music.
it's amazing. They do. This one's called the Rock and Romance. Go look it up.
Yeah.
Rock and Romance Cruise. But they do country. They do oldies. They do 60s. They do doo-wop. They do all these theme cruises.
Yeah.
But this is the big one for them. It's the rock and roll cruise.
You should be on this one, Eddie.
I know it. I should be the MC for that.
Foreigner, Randy Beachman, I pulled it up.
The
Dave
Apostle.
Mason, War, Don McLean,
Yeah.
Nice.
Generation Radio.
Bye, Mr.
And we've been doing this one for a number of years. The first one we were on, they had Peter Frampton was on it.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's all these amazing people on there.
Does Gino Vanelli still have all the hair? Remember when he was out, his hair looked like the guy from Jethro Tull.
Yeah, he does. It's like most of us, the hair is relaxed a bit, but it's still there.
I'm gonna so steal that. I am so gonna steal that from you. What's up with your hair, Bobby? Well, it's relaxed a little
Thanks.
bit.
Now we're going to hear that 300,000
It's-
times this week.
That's awesome.
I
got
mean,
that.
those of us who still have it,
Yeah, yeah, I
it
know.
has relaxed a bit.
That's
right.
funny. Yeah, I remember when Gino came out, and when our band was hitting, that was in the '80s when the hair bands were out there. We all did the same thing, man. Permed your hair. Did you perm your hair?
I never did.
Oh, you didn't. You
No.
stayed true to the. Well, you've got great hair, but I did, man.
I've got gray. Did you say I have gray hair?
Yeah, no, great.
Oh.
But back in the '80s, man, every other month I was in there perming my hair, and they'd turn your head and it would do this. The idea
Yeah.
was to turn your head one way and your hair go the other.
Yeah.
So you could get this going on stage. It's kind of stupid now, but anyway. So Eddie, if you missed the rock and roll cruise, Eddie grew up as being a rock and roller, and what are you saying? Crystal Gale turned you to country music, or
No,
was there
no.
something? What made you, or are you even a country music fan? Because
Oh yeah, in Alabama, of course. It was I was disc jockeying, and Alabama Hit. When Alabama Hit would Feel So Right, of course, that was the one that
Yeah.
brought them out for me. Because that was slow dance stuff. But of course, mountain music took them to a whole nother stratosphere.
Randy
That
wrote
album.
that song. Randy wrote that song by himself, Song of the Year, most highest grossing BMI monies. That's what put Randy on that one song that he wrote by
There was a
himself.
lot of rockers that switched. They, of course, and Sawyer Brown, all those 80s and 90s bands that come out, like you talk about Brooks and Dunn, how they had that kick drum and that there was a lot of rocking in them country groups back then. Alabama definitely started it though.
Not to get real in depth into stuff that'll be over people's heads, but I'm a guy that wants to know how you make records and how you do this and how you put that together, because I made records. And there was a buddy of mine who worked with us in the very beginning, but his name's Mike Bradley, and I say that he always changed the sound of country music because he made all those Brooks and Dunn records. And if you go back and listen to those Brooks and Dunn records, they're some of the first records that brought the drums in country music. In rock they've always been up there banging
That's
away.
right, that's right.
But he brought the drums and the kick drum itself more up into your face. Some people criticize you for that, and there's a big song about it. But he was a guy that, man, he'd sit in there and spend hours on his drum sound and his kick drum for the Brooks and Dunn records, and obviously paid off. But I've always been a goofball guy about that. Who'd you listen to when you were growing up?
Country, straight to country.
Because are you from
Yeah.
North Carolina or something?
I am.
Yeah, whereabouts?
Well, I'm from a county called Rockingham County, and the city I was born in doesn't exist anymore.
Oh no.
Which was a struggle. My wife decided she needed my birth certificate for something. Don't ask me what.
Call City Hall.
Let's prove that you're a human being on our planet.
Yeah.
So it couldn't find it, and well, you don't exist, sir. I went,
Yeah.
okay, that's a win.
Especially for the taxes. That's a great win.
That's a win. I'm so glad to hear that. But it's up near the Virginia line. Closest city was Martinsville, Virginia.
Oh yeah.
Danville, Virginia, right up along there, right along the edge of the mountains.
No, I played. There was a guy in Virginia, of all things, whose name was. It'll come to me in a minute. But he was an old FBI agent, and when he got out of the FBI, he became a country music promoter, and he loved Sawyer Brown, and he was from Virginia. So I played everywhere. We played West Virginia, Morgan, every one of those towns,
They
everywhere.
love good music in that area. They love country music in that
Oh,
area.
and good so now you grew up there listening to country music, and then did you, because you and I are probably close to the same age, did you say, okay, because that's about our age, I'm going to California?
34.
Yeah, well, I'm 35.
Yeah,
So, I
we're
still
close. We're close. Yeah.
So did you say, hell, man, I'm going to San Francisco, I'm going to California?
I did. I went to California. I thought about going to New York, and I'd been to New York and didn't much like it.
Yeah.
But I liked California.
And it's the music that led you there, or were you running
I'm
from
not sure I had enough bandwidth in my brain to know what led me there. It's like
Yeah.
a bunch of us got together and we're going to go conquer the world. Where do you want to start? Let's start in California.
Yeah, I got that.
I'm not sure that we really had a plan.
Yeah. Well, I went. I had a van. I didn't go, but I knew someplace that where I was, I couldn't do anything more than what everybody else locally had done
Sure.
in music. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at all these cats that are at that time 40 years old and playing in bands and playing 3, 4, 5 nights a week at the beer joints and all that. And then I thought, well, there's nowhere to go any further than that.
Well, I thought that too, but I mean, Randy Travis from North Carolina.
Yeah, yeah.
Charlie Daniels from North Carolina. So I think when I look back, I mean, when you and I were starting and had the internet and had 2 TV channels, and you're
Turning that thing to get your dad's in there. No more to the left. You're turning the antenna so you can get that station.
we'd put tinfoil on our
Absolutely.
antennas, so we
yeah.
could-
Moving around to try to get
exactly.
the TV thing. Well, and those guys, I know the Randy Travis story pretty well. My buddy actually got him his record deal. He moved to Nashville, got a job. He was washing dishes at a bar out there and singing.
Well,
at
actually,
a
that
club.
shoots a hole in my theory because
No.
he made it from North Carolina and he actually did move to Nashville.
Yeah, he
so-
did. Yeah. Well, those guys, you have to. What my point was is, in your hometown, there wasn't a record company.
No, there was
and
not.
There was not anywhere to. If you were lucky, you could make a record and maybe get played on your local radio station back then.
You could.
Not now, you can't because
Yeah.
they're all owned by corporate. Anyway, that's another story. But so you, at some point in your life, as a musician, most people, some people don't make that decision, but you have to make that decision to leap to get out of your comfort zone and get out of your hometown, unless your hometown's a music town, which neither one of us came from.
Bobby, while you're speaking of country music and starting of that,
Yes.
when I think of the Eagles, realistically, the Eagles were slipping country music into us before we even realized that was country music, because they really did. The Byrds and the Eagles and them coming from that era, that really was country. When you listen to that Eagles stuff,
Well,
there
it was
a
kind of
lot
West Coast country, they said. I don't know a whole lot of story about the Eagles, but I know that the first guitar player, Bernie
Ledden. Yep.
was a Telecaster bender player.
He was a bender, that's
Yeah,
right.
and you can hear all that if you listen to like Peaceful Easy Feeling and all that stuff. You can hear his country influences. It was kind of a West Coast thing going on back then that was going on, and most of us know that, not all, but some of those guys played on in Ronstadt's band. And she was kind of, borderline country. I mean, they weren't making Buck Owens records, but
Well, I mean, when I think about West Coast, that's what I think about.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Buck Owens.
Yep. Well, a cool story about that. There was a guy before Buck, but Buck was the first guy. There was a guy named Win Stewart, but Buck Owens, Buck got signed to Capitol Records in L.A. is where the Capitol Records building is there, and he was the first guy to be outside. Everything happened in Nashville before Buck Owens.
That's true.
And that was mostly run by Wesley Rose and Roy Acuff. They owned it. Anyway, I'll get off of that. I'm a plethora of useless information, but I learned all that stuff. And so Buck signed, and an interesting story about Buck was they had Capitol Records in California had a house band. And when you recorded for Capitol Records, you used the house band. It was James Burton. It was all these guys that played out there. Ralph Mooney was the steel player. These guys played on Elvis's records. They did all that. And when Buck Owens was signed to the record deal, they said, you're going to use our house band. And he said, except for my guitar player.
Yeah.
Don Rich is going to play on my records. And that's the way that's going to be. And he did. He was one of the first guys to buff up against a record company.
Well, for my money, Don Rich defined the sound. He sang all that good harmony, all that twangy guitar. That was all him.
Yeah, and well, that I have several, but there's a blonde Telecaster guitar back there in my collection. That's a '69 that I bought in high school, and I bought that for one reason. I bought that because I saw Don Rich playing one, and I went, I want to do that. So, interesting story. I heard that Leo Fender, the Fender guitars were originally made in Fullerton, California. And I heard that they went to Buck and said, if you guys will play these guitars, we'll give you these guitars. and you guys need to play them. So
Sounds like a deal.
You never saw Buck Owens and Don Rich playing anything ever in their career. You never saw those guys with a Les Paul in their hand.
Well, that started a trend. All the musicians now are trying to get the instrument makers to give them free stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's what everybody does. Everybody
Yeah.
wants free stuff.
I got free guitars. One time we played, our band played a Christmas party for Hartley Peavy in Meridian, Mississippi. And, you know, I think Hartley been in the Punch Bowl a little bit. And back that truck up here, man. So we backed the truck up. He's just throwing guitars in the back of our truck and all kinds of stuff. I think I gave all of them away. And there was a company called Schecter.
I remember Schecter.
I got a few free Schecter guitars from that. But the big guys, you know, Gibson gave me a guitar once a long time ago. But most of those big guys kind of hang tight to they don't give it up and stuff. But that was me when I was a kid. And a Telecaster back then probably cost, I think they were probably $400 or something, maybe a little less. And I can't remember what I paid for that. But back in 1970 is when I bought my guitar, $400. My car didn't cost $400, I don't think so.
That's exactly what I paid for my first car.
Did you $400?
$400.
I might have too. What was your first car?
Oldsmobile 88, I think.
Oh, really?
Maybe a 98. I can't remember. It was a big, huge thing, 4 doors and power windows and
Oh,
everything.
yeah, you got to have that. Mine was a 64 Chevy. I had a 64. What was your first car, Eddie?
74 Plymouth Duster. It had the hatchback where you can.
Oh, yeah.
Well, y'all
Lift it
had
up.
hot rods.
Yeah, he did. Well,
Yeah.
but those,
All Mopar guys in my family.
well,
Yeah.
I was a Mopar guy after that.
Well, you're a Michigan guy, so
Yeah, gotta be. Well, when I got out of the Army, then I bought a Roadrunner. And you know, those Dusters and Roadrunner, had I kept that Roadrunner, you ever see the price of those cars today?
Yeah, I
You all
would
go back
love
and
to
look at
have a
your kid's car and you think, why didn't somebody come up to say, look, man, just park this in the garage
Yeah.
someday? And this, I paid, I don't know, I think I paid maybe $4,000 for that Roadrunner. And those cars, you know, in some markets are $100,000, $120,000 and those TV shows.
Oh, they do it. We do an event every year in Reno called Hot August Nights.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and these people take all these cars, they refurb them to amazing, I mean, perfection, and sell them for $100,000.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy
Yeah,
stuff.
don't even think twice about it. So write a check for a GTO or a Chevelle 396 or something for that kind of money. It's amazing, and the cars take over the whole town.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Hey, George,
Well,
we got 2 questions.
Yeah, question. Bring it on. That's the Apostle Paul.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, so they want to know what other bands you've played in.
Not me, George.
Yes, George.
Oh, his history is a lot more interesting than mine.
Well, you're the special guest today, and that's
That's
what
right.
they care about.
Yeah.
So I played in a band in L.A. called The Holidays. It's one of those nearly made it stories. Had bunch of songwriters in that band. They all died. They were all junkies. That went well.
Yeah.
Wow,
That
Debbie, thanks
usually-
for downing us.
That usually does. Yeah.
Probably nobody anybody's ever heard of.
All right, so let's spin it. What instruments do you play?
Pretty much
Or how
anything
many?
with a string on it. Enough piano to embarrass myself. Harmonica.
Oh yeah, the fire out of that.
Yeah.
I still, you got to
Never-
show me something. You got to show me. I can't make that one note happen that you play.
I'll
that
show,
bend.
I'll show. It's simple.
No, it's not. Because I've tried. If it was simple, I could do it. It's not simple.
It's pretty simple. The only one I've tried to play that I was never any good at is fiddle or violin. I always tell people that's an instrument that's easy to play poorly. It's a difficult instrument. I never could quite get it.
What part do you not understand?
Pretty much all of it. I mean, it
Right
doesn't.
from
It
the-
doesn't
from
have
the
any
minute you-
frets. You don't really pluck it.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Right. What part don't you understand? Right from the part when you open the case.
Yeah.
From there forward.
Yeah.
Well, it's tuned kind of weird. I don't.
It's tuned like a mandolin. I don't have a problem with a mandolin.
Right. I see you play mandolin.
But it's got frets on it, and you can make chords up.
Yeah,
It's actually got lines on it, and you can say, okay, that's where it's supposed to be. It don't do that with a violin.
Yeah, it does not.
All right, Heather just sent me a text
Yeah.
with a question for you, George.
Okay.
What is that tube called that you play?
Oh, that's a beer bong.
Yeah, it's a beer
bong?
bong. There's
Yeah.
nothing
Sip
in
in
that.
between.
By
the
the
show.
end of the show, I'm lit up like a Christmas tree, and you don't even know it.
I can tell you a story about that because I'm not sure if I'm correct, but one of the first people, although Frampton,
Yep.
Frampton, had
Oh,
a big
yeah.
hit with that,
Yep,
as did Joe Walsh.
Yep.
But I want to say, boys, that there was an old boy in Nashville, Tennessee, that came out with that before those cats, and his name was Pete Drake. Because Pete Drake had a tube like that going, and if you look back in the 60s, he's got some steel guitar. Dougie would know this.
They called it the talking
Steel guitar.
That's right. That's
and that
exactly
was
right.
that was Pete Drake. And what the hell that thing does, I don't know, because I don't. I mean, so you can explain.
I can
that.
explain
Yeah,
it
tell
to
me
you.
what it does.
Technically, what it does is there's several kinds, but originally what it's a speaker. It's a driver for a speaker. A speaker is a magnet.
Yeah.
With a positive and a negative, and that's where you get your sound. But it's instead of sending the signal of what you play into the speaker, it sends it into the box and comes up in the tube. You put the tube in your mouth, and it rattles all your fillings out.
yeah.
All your caps on your TV, all your crowns, they
Yeah.
all just kind of vibrate off, and then you look like a Virginia hillbilly.
So does it? So you strike a note, and then you could go wow, wow, whatever you say in the
You
mouth.
say whatever you want.
And it comes out. That's pretty amazing. I don't know who figured that out, but I'm sure that I'm not taking anything away from those guys because you guys do Rocky Mountain Way and they kill it, and George does the Joe Walsh part on the tube. Is it called anything or just the tube?
Talk box?
Oh, talk box.
Yep.
That's what it's called.
That's what it was originally called.
Yeah, and so you can buy that.
You can buy it, yeah.
I have no use for one, but it
You
might
can
be.
put it on your pedal board just like you would your compressor or your reverb pedal. It's the same.
Gotcha. So I could put one on my fiddle then, right?
You probably could. Not sure why you'd want to though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could put one on your banjo if you wanted to. That'd be kind of.
I don't play. I can play, like you said, enough banjo to embarrass myself.
Yeah.
I can play Foggy Mountain Breakdown. I can play something.
That's pretty good.
I'm a guy that, like you, string instruments just make total sense to me.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell you where middle C is on the piano, and nothing about the piano at all registers in my brain. Nor I tried to play saxophone one time. That wasn't very good. That was pretty awful.
Yeah. Piano is logical. It's all in a row,
Yeah.
like numbers.
Right.
But on string instruments, it's the shapes. You see the shapes, and you can move them up and down the
Sure.
neck. The shapes are the same.
There's no.
Or the patterns of the scales you're on, they're the same. That's logical to me,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
That was easier to pick up.
Our keyboard player, we steal one of your songs when you're not here, and we play it a half step down.
Which one's that?
The big one, Hotel California.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Said the big one,
Yeah.
and we play it a half step down. So our keyboard player,
That's cheating,
he does. That's what I said. I said, why don't you just learn the damn thing right? But he turns it a half step down. So, as you know, we share a lot of instruments up here, the drums.
Yep,
the keyboard.
yep.
So the keyboard player takes off last week. There's this band in here called Brass Transit, and they're a Chicago.
I've heard that band. That's a good band.
Yeah, they are.
That's a really good band.
Really good band. Well, not so good when they kicked off the show, and that damn piano was a half step down. And the keyboard player is up there, and man, it sounded like me playing piano. Rant. Well, he was mad, and rightfully so. Well,
That's funny.
He was not very happy. By the end of the day, he left, and everybody was happy. I really don't know that the people knew what was going on, and really, it's as simply as pushing a button. Push this button, everything goes back. But I think at that point he was so mad he couldn't see straight. But it was not funny, but yet it's actually kind of funny because it didn't happen to me.
I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah, because it didn't happen to us, right?
We, somebody, I won't mention any names, somebody was in our band for a while, took a little piece of tape and put it over my harmonica
Oh, God.
where I couldn't see it. So in the middle of the show, you just reach over, you grab it,
Yeah.
you start to play, and I went, and there's nothing,
See, George, what Bobby didn't tell you is right before this all happened, he goes on stage, he's like, man, this band's really good. I've got to
I
do
did.
something to sabotage them.
I
Yeah,
did. I said
yeah.
that. I was out front. I talked, and I said, "Man, these guys are so good, y'all." I said, "I've been thinking about sabotaging some of their gear because they're so good." And I'll be damned. That's exactly what happened. But my harmonica story is we had a record out in Sawyer Brown called "My Baby's Gone," and I played a harmonica solo on it. And I can't play harmonica like you, but I can just stumble my way through a little bit, on a bullet and get my way through it enough. Anyway, it's a big record. So we were on tour with the Beach Boys, and it was the Indiana State Fair. And I'm looking at the stage, this big stage. There's 17,000 people there, and I see the Beach Boys on the side of the stage coming out, and I thought, it's kind of weird. What are they doing? Because we'd been touring with them for like a couple weeks. What are they out here for? They're out. Anyway, I'm playing. We're playing. So time for my harmonica solo. Same thing. I go over and the road manager just drops it in my hand. I grab the harmonica. Well, they had filled my harmonica up with some kind of crazy-ass hot Tabasco sauce.
Oh, that's nasty.
And I sucked that bad boy in,
Yeah.
and that's what the Beach Boys were out there because they were all in on it.
Yeah.
And I'm just dying. My lips felt like they were Daffy Duck, but yeah.
That's mean.
Well, yeah.
Because you don't swallow it, you breathe it into your lungs.
Yeah, it was everywhere.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey, George, Wayne wants to know, what is your favorite song by any artist that you guys play?
Oh, that we play, or just my favorite in general?
Let's do both.
Let's do both. Well, I don't know. It varies depending on the mood. I'm a country music fan. I like playing the stuff that leans toward country. I like using pedal steel. I like using, mandolin and acoustic guitars. It's fun to rock. It's fun to play loud. We grew up doing that, and we live for that. But as far as what we do, those are the kinds of songs that I like to play. I don't know if it answers the question, but like I say, it varies from mood to mood.
My favorite all-time song is, I'm not saying this because you're here. The answer would be the same if you weren't here. I've said this forever. Peaceful, Easy Feeling.
That's a great song.
Without a doubt,
That's B-Bender on that. You were talking about that earlier. That's
it's my
B-Bender.
favorite. If you said, okay, for the rest of your life, you need to sit in this room, they're going to play one song over and over and over till you croak, I'd say, well, crank up Peaceful, Easy Feeling. It's just a great record.
For me, it's going to be, Grand Tour or Working Man,
Oh,
so it's
yeah,
going to be,
yeah.
Merle or George, and that's, if I'm listening to music, that's probably what I'm listening to.
Here's some trivia on Working Man Blues. I always thought that the Strangers, because Merle Haggard had the same issue Buck did. When they signed Merle to Capitol Records, they forced him to use that house band.
Sure.
And the house band, so that's Ralph Mooney on steel on a lot of those early records. And I just lost his name. But so the guitar player, somebody tell me, he played for Elvis, and he played the solo.
Jim Burton.
Yeah, James Burton.
Yeah.
James Burton is playing the guitar solo on Working Man Blues on the original record. And if you next time you listen to it, you'll hear that clank. That kind of sounds like it's in the record.
Yeah.
Clank. That's Merle. They said hitting two Coke bottles together.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
Yeah. Interesting. Trivia.
I know that sound you're talking about. It's up front in the mix, too.
Yeah, they got it way out there.
It's way out there.
Merle doing that. It's and what about a guy, that's to write a song? You think about, I've written some songs and I've had a little bit of success. I've had lots of people record my songs, but never that's an anthem. Write a song.
It's an anthem, yeah.
I told you we were talking about Randy Owen writing mountain music. Wrote it by himself. The largest grossing. It was a song of the year, but BMI, which is all the money it makes for airplay. That's what you get paid through those collection agencies. ASCAP or BMI. It was one of the largest grossing songs ever. That's the song that made Randy Owen not a millionaire, but multi-millionaire. So you write one song and you go to the house.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, I wrote my mom when I was in the Army, but that was about that was about it for that. Any other questions, Apostle?
Nope, don't see any.
All right. Well, Eddie, I hate to ask you this because it's going to be some brutal thing that it'll be awful, probably the devil music. But what would be, again, they're going to sit you in a room. Yeah. You're going to play one song for the rest of your life.
This will blow your mind.
No.
Yeah, actually it will. It has nothing to do with rock and roll. It will be Poems, Prayers, and Promises by John Denver.
Oh,
it was one
Denver,
song.
okay.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. it talks about your life. It talks about
Now, I
it's
didn't
just
say
one of
you were
those
going to
songs.
be stuck in that room with a big old bong.
No, that was far out, right? Now, George, real quick, George was talking about all the memorabilia back there, not having George Jones. You know what's in my house, George, that won't come to the Opry?
What?
An autographed George Jones acoustic guitar. And I also, when Georgette came here, I bought an acoustic guitar, so I have George Jones' autographed guitar. Maybe I'll bring that in someday. And Georgette's autographed guitar. And a picture that she opened up for George at the, it's a poster that was on the Grand Ole Opry where Georgette opened up for George.
Yeah, Eddie
That's
has
amazing. Yeah, that's
I'm
great.
a huge
Yeah.
George Jones
All
fan.
those
I'm a
albums.
fan. Yeah.
all those albums are Eddie's back there. And
Oh,
that's
okay.
from his private collection. But he has a house that I'd be afraid to go in because
Yeah.
I think Eddie's a bit borderline and could maybe use some therapy. But he has. Where'd you go last week to buy some autographed
Ted
guitar?
Nugent autographed album. I have an AC/DC autographed picture last week.
Yeah, but you just
But-
bought a guitar.
Boston autographed guitar with Tom Schultz and Brad, all the original guys on it. Yeah.
And
I
where-
don't have enough room for guitars, so I try to shy.
What
Of
about
course,
that other
Apostle
guitar,
Paul?
Eddie?
I don't want to talk about Apostle Paul because I woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning and had a chance to get an autographed Ozzy Osbourne guitar with him signed, picture of him signed it, and Paul beat me to it. I'm never going to forgive him.
How rude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how dare him?
Is that what you guys do on our days off?
Yeah, pretty much.
Y'all
yeah.
need to get some help. Good Lord.
Well, it gets even worse for me.
The what?
What am I? My wife's beside me.
Oh, yeah.
63, 64
Yeah.
guitars.
Yeah.
You
I
have
don't-
64 guitars?
Yes.
Do you play
Autographed.
guitar?
I don't know the first note,
No.
That's awesome.
but they're all autographed.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Those are songs that that I'm thinking about. We do occasionally we do an acoustic set, and I just these guys were here, Poco, and I do that song already, and these were two other songs I had to write down so I wouldn't forget to learn. Teach your children well.
I
and,
had to ask.
Dance with Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, when I was in Sawyer Brown, we used to play Dance with Me, and I played the mandolin. We sat up on the stool, the three of us, and we played all and sang it all in 3-part harmony. That's a great song, Orleans.
So we have a question on YouTube.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you guys.
No,
I
you're
was
okay.
getting fed by Kurt. On YouTube, they want to know when you do the cruises, is it something you like doing, or is it just, let's just go do it because they're paying us?
Well,
Or do you do a
honestly,
lot of 'em?
both.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Do y'all do cruises? Does anybody out here do cruises? They're a lot of fun. If you haven't done it, that's the best way to say it. It's a cost-effective way to have a really nice vacation. So,
Yeah, you get
but
paid.
they give us money too. You know, they say, "Hey, you want to take a nice cruise, and we'll give you a big old pile of money." I mean, who could say no to that?
Right,
And
you
the
can
food.
play music and eat till you can't move, right?
Eat till you can't move. You know, it's fun. It is. So the honest answer is both.
We Sawyer Brown did a cruise one time. It was us and Gene Watson. So we said, I don't know if anybody's going to be at the show. It was at a little, they have theaters inside those ships, probably this size or
They got nice theaters. Yeah,
Yeah.
really nice theaters.
big old theaters. So we said, I don't know if anybody's going to come to our show, but we'll come to your show, and if you come to our show, that way we're sure there'll be people there.
Yeah.
So Gene Watson comes, and one of his big songs is 14 Karat Mind. So right out of the box, that's what we played.
Yeah, that's rude.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, every year he comes here. He reminds me.
Go there and play his big song.
Yeah, probably his
Yeah.
biggest song.
Yeah.
He says, I never. He refers to me as a different name from what you guys. No, I can't say all of it, but the last one's whole.
Yeah.
The first
Yeah.
part, you figure out what the first one is.
George, here's a good question.
Okay.
Ever starstruck? Bobby has told that story of him, who he was. Was there anybody you met that you just
I was.
really starstruck?
I don't think so. Not that well, kind of when I first moved to California, and I lived in Burbank, and I'm going to the grocery store, and Ernest Borgnine was walking down the street, and I went, me and my buddies like, that's Ernest Borgnine. I went and go, hey, and
Yeah.
he kind of smiled and waved. That's probably the closest I ever got to starstruck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told my story. I was at a thing in Atlanta with Elton John.
Yeah.
And wasn't starstruck by Elton John. Nice guy.
Yep.
Cool thing. All of a sudden they say, yo, Muhammad Ali's going to be here. And it was some weird kind of thing, I'm telling you. I'm not a whack job. Well, I am, but we were in a small area in the back, kind of like the meet and greet area, hanging out. And it was some kind of weird thing when Muhammad Ali just walked in there. It was like some kind of weird feeling. And he's coming by, and I know he's going to, say hi. And I said, what do you say to Muhammad Ali? And I said, nice to meet you, champ. That's all I could say.
Yeah, there you go.
He was awesome. And we went out on the Kenny Rogers tour, and Kenny invited us out. He knew everybody in the band's name. So night one, I'm thinking, and this is Kenny and Dolly were playing. We were playing 20,000 seat auditoriums. We started in the Tacoma Dome.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, okay, Kenny Rogers, and this is back when they were the big thing going, right? So he come down the aisle, knew everybody's name, and I said, what am I going to say to Kenny Rogers? What am I going to say to Kenny Rogers? I didn't say much, but I ended up becoming real good friends with him. But
All right, guys, I got 2 questions.
Yep.
One from the boss man. He goes in first. George, what was the first guitar you ever picked up?
Ever picked up? Like, first one I ever picked up was just some knockoff acoustic, not even sure brand name.
Do you still have it?
I do not. It didn't belong to me.
Oh,
that
But
doesn't matter to Eddie.
okay, yeah.
But I picked it up and I kind of messed around with it, and it didn't take long. First one I ever bought was a Gibson. Played Strats for years. I still own. I've got my favorite guitars. Let's go there, because that's really what it is. I've got a 1964 Gibson Dove. That's awesome. It has flat wounds on it. It has a great tone.
Yeah, that's a big-bodied acoustic guitar.
That's right. It's an acoustic guitar. I have a 1970 Gibson Hummingbird. And if you listen to all those early Zeppelin records, that's a Hummingbird on those Led Zeppelin, and it's bright and chimey. It's a whole different tone. I've still got, Tellys and Strats, but I still love my Gibson Les Paul. That's probably my favorite guitar to play.
If you were to say, okay, you got one guitar, that's your go-to guitar.
It'd probably be acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
It
bought
would be the Dove or the Gibson, most likely.
I just bought a Gibson. I was in a music store. I don't generally buy new guitars.
Yeah.
I don't. If there's a good deal on something, I may. But
Yeah.
I'm and like all of us, in search for the old guitar. And if a guy's got an old guitar, you're wanting to look at it. And a lot of that goes on back there, man. That whole back area back there could be a swap shop.
Yeah.
Because there's guys. I'm in there with guitars every other week, and somebody. Excuse me, Keith. Keith just bought the craziest guitar. Did you see that left-handed Les Paul he bought?
I did.
So, and he, that he plays, our bass player, who's awesome guitar player, takes a regular guitar like George and I play. So imagine that, and just tips it upside down and plays it like that.
Yeah.
So it's not really left-handed, but it's upside down because the string structure from how George and I's brain, or most people, is from top to bottom, is now his is bottom to top. Now that I've lost you on that. So then he gets a left-handed guitar that's made to play that way and restrings the dadgum thing. And so you and I can play his left-handed guitar.
Yeah.
Anyway, he just bought that. So that's kind of what I look forward to. But I was in the music store, and I saw this, it's a 2002 Gibson J something. It's a jumbo body.
Yeah.
And I picked it up and I went, man, this guitar plays so good, and blah blah blah. I had to have it. So I don't generally buy new guitars, but I do have my first guitar. If you look back there, my Roy Rogers.
Which one is
the Roy Rogers? The one on top. My first guitar.
We got one question before we got to take it to the house.
Yeah, go.
This is for both of you. What is your favorite state that you like to play in?
My favorite what?
State that you like to play in.
Oh, favorite state? I don't know. That's
I don't know that I have a favorite state.
I don't either. I've been. I mean, I like being
everywhere
close
now?
to home. So when I'm done, I can just go home.
I did a thing one time, and I have played every state in the union at least 5 times. Every state, and then some a gazillion times. But we played state fairs and county fairs, and it got tight over there in Vermont. But there was a promoter over there that liked us, and we played a lot up there in that East Coast stuff. Of course, you always play, Texas, Tennessee, and all that stuff. I don't know if I have a favorite state, but I guess it would be, here's the correct answer. Are you ready? My favorite state would be Florida, Weirsdale, Florida. How about that?
That's why you're Bobby Randall.
Folks, we got to go to the house. Thank you all so much for joining us. Once again, a big, big round of applause for George Dickinson, everyone, from Hotel California. God bless you all, everybody. Like I say every week, join us next Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning for our podcast. God bless you all, and God bless the United States. Thank you all.